Okay, welcome everybody to the Town of Richmond Water and Sewer Commission meeting for May 6, 2024. Are there any public comments? Comments, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda? No, all right, moving right along. The first item is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April the 15th?
This is Bart, so moved. This is David, I'll second.
Discussion? Discussion, calling for a vote. Please give me your vote.
Bart, aye. David, aye.
And abstain.
Morgan, abstain.
Oh, man, I could have voted. I didn't get a chance to read them because I was reading all the other things. I didn't miss.
And I wasn't here. So we do have a majority. We're good. Thank you very much. Next, we do the warrants. There were but there was electronic, I think it was transfer of funds warrants for payments from payroll. Amongst other things.
Payroll, so it was payroll, cloud, tech support loans, solar billing for electricity, gas, and labor for the site. 2003,
And then another warrant report. 20. Yeah, this one right here, but the warrant for report. $50,000.
this is
Yeah, warrant, sorry, yes, and also the second warrant, 21,7. That's the one we just talked about. Now, 45,749.03. Do I have a motion to approve the two warrants?
45,749.
8 cents.
Off the 80 cents.
Sorry.
Move to approve.
Second.
Bart, I'll second.
Any discussion? Calling no discussion, calling for a vote to approve the two warrants.
Bart, aye. David, aye.
Aaron, I.
Aye, motion passes. Okay. There is a purchase order, but we'll look at that in spring. To the purchase of the water. Moving right along. Reminder for applications for water and sewer commissioners and scheduling the meeting. So application.
Well, we all decided we're not going to vote.
Okay. Wow.
I think the select board is actually
You have to-
by
you have to have
statute,
three.
and you have to have 3, so someone will assign you to this, whereas you two are free to do as you please.
No, you're not.
And actually, I think if you leave, another select board member has to come in if every meeting.
Right, that's how I wanted to put it in the first one.
I think it's my thing, you were the fourth, perhaps, yeah.
Okay.
It's a reminder. It's a reminder.
Okay.
I feel like we're in TV now.
We are.
And too deep into the sewage, actually.
Say, I gotta get in time.
That's right. Got our hip waders on it. Okay, annual meeting scheduled for May the 21st. Discussion?
And that's in this spring, because nobody comes anywhere, right?
Yes.
Plenty of room on you.
So that makes it so that we will have Monday and Tuesday, right?
No discussion? All right, moving right along. Review of draft 2025 year budget. So then going to, take this, please.
Okay, so just a couple of changes since last meeting. I think last meeting we had a really productive meeting. I think we really finalized pretty much everything on the budget. We looked at other scenarios. We had more septic revenue. What should we do with other sign funds, reserve funds? I think the commission has a really good consensus, but I just wanted to come back with a couple of things. Um, I did check a couple of things since that meeting. One of them fairly small, we need to add in the fee for the water meter monitoring system. This is for water meters, so this is the system that runs the water meters and the data collection. With an annual fee, I think we split the water meters 50/50, I split this one 50/50 between water and wastewater. So this year, the water budget's been added 1910. That increased, fire protection slightly and then slightly increased, we need to raise, meters. Same math basically on. Same math on the wastewater side, added 1910. Slightly increased that, so I'll get to rates here in a minute, but the rates went up slightly. Fire protection did increase a little bit because part of it is 5% of the water budget, not a whole lot. Then on the reserve funds, as I was reviewing the financials, I thought that we had actually misstated the wastewater capital use in FY 24, and there was $32,000 that I put that we were going to use in FY 24 that was actually already expended in 23. So that usage went down. And then this number here, we had reported that it's about 160,000. That's now up to 191. So, never good to make an error, but at least it's an error in that direction where we weren't, we have more money than we figured out. So that then when we get over to the capital funds, we were going to use the new reform pump, 150,000 coming out of the capital reserve fund, which we're going to put that down to about 10,000. Well, now we've got we're down about 30,000 once we use that. And other than that, everything pretty much stays the same. I've updated the rate chart with the new rates, and then I updated the rate chart here again, made the correct changes to increase the slight increase in the water and sewer receipts that we have.
Could we just revisit what we did for septage revenues?
You want to look at the chart or the budget?
Probably budget.
We're at 500,000. We had budgeted 550 last year for FY 24 and FY 23 actuals we were in the different 500. We're probably on pace for closer to 500 this year than 550.
So I want to just bring up the history of this. When we started, we were pretty cautious about not becoming overly reliant on septage and then having a sort of crisis mid-year, like if they went down for whatever reason. So it's just a general comment that I think, if you lose us to be at least modestly cautious about what we expect for septic.
Right, because as Steve said, the market, he's just not taking in as much septic as he had. It's just not there right now.
He doesn't really know, doesn't he? Why?
No, I mean, he sends out a text to the group of haulers every day and saying how much capacity they can take. We've got capacity, but they're just not knocking the door down. There's just less to process all around.
So that might call the question, do we think 500 is the right figure? It's less than last year, it's close to 23 actual. And it's a prognostication exercise.
Right. I would rather be conservative. I don't want to go anywhere near last year's number because it'll make the next 23 actual. I don't know any reason why I would say 495 for the 500, but I think 500 is definitely better than 550.
I would agree. You don't want to depend on, overly dependent on something else.
Yeah, and if this is a good septage year, we rebuild our reserves. I mean,
And decide what to do with it at the end of the year. I mean,
Right.
that's one of the seesaws that we've experienced in a couple of budgets, like if you underestimate your revenues and then they're higher than you budgeted, well, now you have extra money that you can use to offset future costs or investment.
And, you know, we've all been probably seeing the same things in the newspaper and well, in the media about the El Nino prognostication for this year. It's, you know, they say warmer for like, duh. But it could be wetter, and for like wetter, what does that mean? That's like a big deluge at this point. And if that happens, we're gonna have higher expenses, but probably, you know, we don't know what it's gonna be. No one has a crystal ball. Except for you.
When money in septage goes into a restricted fund,
No, anything that's not in the budget, or basically, we probably don't need to plan on it.
that's what I'm saying. So we could use them for other reasons.
Yeah, it won't go away, you don't compare this regular number of this time next year, we talk about, we have too much, we have how quickly the budget rates.
Right.
I agree. So we,
We talked about this last time, but now that you're here.
Sorry.
Oh, no, I did not mean that in that way. No, I did not mean that in a snarky way, but do you feel like, because we did raise our septic rates. If we reduced our septic rates, do you think we would get more clientele? I know, like you had been talking about how people used to go out of their way to come here because we were so cheap.
Well, I don't.
Okay. That's all I need.
And we have a discussion about our septic numbers later. I'd like to talk about what's going on there.
okay.
I think right now, if we could take, we're taking all the septic that's out, basically. Wind River and, some of the others aren't coming to us because Montpelier is taking just about everything that they have. So, you know, Montpelier during the end of COVID was in an upgrade. We took a lot of that septage and now they're fully functional and they have the capacity to take it. It's days when they're not open that we take a lot of septage. I mean, I think in the month of April, we had one day that I took 67,000, and that's the day that I can remember this year. So that,
Even then, that's not, what's our total capacity on a day?
right now, if the plant was behaving, we could take 75.
Okay.
Comfortably. The plant for the last week has not been happy. We took a load of septage last Monday that pretty much killed it. Within 15 minutes,
Was there stuff in it that we did not know about?
pretty much.
Please tell me on that.
I don't know. Over the weekend, I try to empty our septage, everything out, run it through the press, so our digester is empty and our septic tanks are empty, so we're ready to go on Monday morning. So last Monday morning, I took 2 loads of septage, pumped them directly into the digester. They were mixing. Everything looked good. That's like 10,000 gallons. So I fired up the press to keep us on track. That was at like 9:30. At 10:05, a septic hauler came in with a load of septage. And then they came with another load of septage at 10:20. By 10:20, and I was pumping that right into the digester, you know, not thinking anything was wrong. By 10:20, the dissolved oxygen in our aeration tank had dropped from a 5.5 to a 0.6. And it remained at 0.6 for 14 hours. And usually a plant dies after an hour of being at 0.6. All the bacteria, all the microbes and everything died. Ours, to the best of our knowledge, didn't. Nothing I did, I immediately shut the press off. Nothing I did seemed to correct it. I called the experts, tried to get everything, and over the next 3 days, the dissolved oxygen in the plant was terrible.
Now, this is with our brand new press, right?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the breath.
Is it what they brought? Did they bring something that wasn't septic?
It was so high strength. What everybody feels is it was so high strength. And we didn't have like 30,000 gallons mixing with it. It was a small amount. We were pressing it right through. And it immediately ended up in the plant and dropped the numbers in the plant.
So does that mean it was just like,
Something. They tell me it's set date. I know exactly. I mean, I have it. I know exactly which hauler it was. The hauler tells me it was septage. That's what I have to go on.
We don't know if it was. It's highly
Didn't take-
concentrated
yeah.
DOD
Or if there was like a lot of Roundup.
yeah.
It's possible chemical contamination.
Right, yeah.
Correct.
that's
This
what I-
particular hauler
Or was it kind of-
does pump from catch basins and things where they,
Run off the parking lots.
well, yes.
Okay, there you
Oh.
go.
So I mean, I can just say what they tell me it is. I mean, it definitely, when I tell everybody, look, I was pressing, had 10,000 in there. We dumped another 10,000 from this other person and within 10 minutes, my plant went, Well, they're like, it's those two loads of septic.
Did you get a water sample by chance?
I was in such panic mode that we did. I mean, I was in panic mode to try to bring, I mean, my first thing was that our blowers, something was malfunctioning with them. We immediately checked all the air filters, cleaned tried to make our air more. And we just couldn't bring it back. And to tell you the truth, over the weekend, I was confident that we had turned on this. Right now, the plant's at a 0.9. For some reason, it ran almost 24 hours perfect. And then about 2 o'clock today, the DO dropped and it hasn't come back. And nothing we do just brings it back.
Maureen, I had not ever thought of this until you mentioned it. Like, is there any benefit considering sampling of stuff as it comes in? And then you stick it on the.
Well, it's one of the septage receiving units that I had looked at, they do that. They have a automatic pH. I mean, this is pretty much high tech, but they have a pH sampler that actually will shut the septage off to anything that comes in at a high or whatever parameters you want.
Outside the garden.
Yeah. And then they also have, I believe that same model will take individual samples as they're unloading.
It will check the things it knows to check for. Well,
The only thing that I really know that they can check for without doing a whole thing is the pH. But
so if there was fuel oil, or I don't know what would kill it that quickly, but if there was runoff from a parking lot,
That's
Like
pretty
somebody dumped-
complicated analysis.
like if somebody, some hauler truck dumped
They-
it, load there and let it run into the catch basin.
I know that they pump a parking lot where there's medical waste received. It's a catch basin and I know they do it. They tell me they don't bring it to me. I don't,
So those are the hydrocarbons and that might be maybe probably the bacteria that we have
can't take it.
cannot process that. It's really filled with that.
So when the DO drops, usually you see it kill a die off. One thing that we're not seeing is that die off. The bacteria are there, they're healthy, relatively healthy, but they're consuming a tremendous amount of oxygen, more than we can give it to keep it in a healthy state. And there is that, as the summer gets warmer, there's the chance that the temperature will be just right for it. So for the last 24 hours, I mean, for the last week, basically, it's been a 24-hour basis. Just watching.
Well, let's keep moving here.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the big problem.
Talked
But
about
it all relates to some of the stuff in the budget.
Is there like a strike system for the septic holes? Like,
There is for this one now.
if you, well, that's legit question, like, do you write them up and like, if you've got 3 documented write-ups, like you don't get to bring stuff anymore?
So, I did not take septic from them last week after this happened. And they called several times and I told them that, until Monday, I wasn't gonna take anything from them. And then today, when I texted out, I text all the haulers in the morning how much we can take. When I texted them, I was very specific. You must, if you're bringing septic to me, and it's residential septic, because on our slips, we say residential septic, commercial, and then there's one other or something. But, and I said, if you bring anything but residential septic, I want to know about it before the load is unloaded. And I said that includes catch basins, it includes, pump stations, anything that's municipal, I want to know about it before you bring a load. And they never brought a load.
So this must be from flooding, but they're. Must be flooding, they have to come from.
No, some of the, I know the municipal parking, it's not a municipal parking lot. It's a parking lot where they receive trucks of medical waste. I know all of the catch basins drain, the water drains to them and can't go anywhere. Because that's the way it's designed. It's contained. And, but I don't know if that's where it came from.
It's good, medical waste. And covers a lot of territory.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's a lot of.
What fail safes are in place so that we don't get some chemical insert?
There aren't. We take it and truthfully, most of the haulers don't want to mess up the plant because they get shut. But you have to, I mean, I couldn't take the full amount of septic last week that I could have taken because the plant was sick. And when they call me and say, oh, you broke down, and I say, nope, I said, I got a bad load and my plant is not doing that. And they're like, well, it wasn't us.
Well, it is worth considering in the future.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, right?
All right, well, let's get back to the budget here. And the other question,
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask one really stupid question. Radioisotope distribution of septic is a thing, I Googled it. No,
yeah,
I Googled it. Well, no, I used to work for the Environmental Health and Safety Security Department, use radioisotopes.
Yeah.
Nuclear medicine, can have, we're not sitting with the Geiger counter, I don't know how it
No.
works this, but have you ever heard of that happening to anybody around here?
No. I mean, some plants, like Montpelier and Burlington, because they're so large, can handle, one load. But because we're so small, with our municipal end of it is so small. And we took in just that, you know, less than 20,000 gallons and we're processing it. And it hit the plant so hard that, you know, that balance that we've been in for so long was went.
But would that, if we got radioactive waste, would that have caused the same result or would that be different?
I don't know. I mean, I've never
It
heard of it.
affects the oxygen level, but I wouldn't think it would, but if you feel, it could,
Until the bars.
it will go up.
Well, that's what keeps the oxygen level up.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. I was just trying to think.
I mean, ionizing radiation and definitely,
Hmm.
you don't need the whole.
Um,
That's worried about two things, something coming into the plant going undetected and wiping out the plant. And also something coming into the plant going undetected, going out.
So,
Well, let's finish up the budget.
yeah,
okay?
I mean, yep,
So we will circle back to the
Yeah.
superintendent's report. We can talk about it there more. For sure.
So any other comments, Josh? Anybody else on the budget?
And you know, those rates will be of concern at the annual meeting, so that's probably the biggest thing up, down, what's it gonna do to my rates? Is what makes us-
Okay.
I mean, I thought we tried to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, so we are, like, we last, look at the fixed rate. I think we're off in the percentages. What we're doing sort of across the board and sewer, but that's what we also looked at. We ended up looking at the rates over time, and these aren't the highest rates in general that we've ever. So we kind of kept things down for a while, and then we're talking about a little bit, and I'll have those back.
I think the graphs. Oh, it's, yeah.
So we were just looking at. Commercial government. Sewer. Let's do that. Graphs. So this is the commercial government use. Usage rate for sewer. So this one has spiked up here, but it's sort of similar to where we were back in 2020. That's a bit of a downward trend. But we use more and more septage. And now we're not using the driver and less cases. Yeah, if we were using 550 in septage, that line would be, I think, pretty good. So look at it, but as we talked about septic and what you're looking at septic, it's completely
Related. The septage is not the right. Because it's on.
It should be the icing on the cake as opposed to the cake. Yeah, not to use an awkward metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do all 4 towns or whatever number of towns take in for the school?
Yeah, it's part of their budget.
Eventually there.
Whatever they go.
So I would guess that as a percentage of the school budget, this is a margin of error.
I feel, I just wonder if there's a way to offset some of the increases. I think there's a little bit, but there's a totally.
That's what we tried actually last year, Heidi, Foreman, and a number of
Well,
others.
we did do the little bit, but
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be based on your sector's actual usage.
Yeah.
Versus like, let's make it free for residential parts of school, for instance.
Right, I just definitely don't want to do that, but I didn't know if there was a way to,
And then
I think last year we moved it to like 50-50 instead of,
right, I think we
60-40 or
we
something.
changed, yeah, so we changed that to 50-50 versus. We changed these percentages.
oh, the left.
for about the school, but what we've always done with the school is there's this section of the rate building where we basically add 5% and then reduce that for residential and commercial. And part of that is to adjust for the fact that pay, they don't pay the fire protection fee, they don't pay taxes. So we add a little bit more on the water sewer bill to reduce that for residential and commercial, unfortunately.
There's no pilot.
Pilot.
Came in lieu of taxes.
We know what you can get a pilot on that, but this is, yeah, that's what I'd have to look at. I don't think we do, but that's how it was explained to me when I started this, is that that's sort of in lieu of actually going to figure out how we.
I thought we had a separate.
Yeah, it's about 50,000. The total fire protection we charge back in the town is 50,000.
What exactly?
Having been here. When we built the size water tank we built, the customers did not need one. Fire department, fire chief, said, no, you need a bigger tank for fire. For everything. We also did a income study of the customers of the water sewer system and found that their income was lower than for the town as a whole. And so we had this discussion of our situation where you want the people who are lower income to subsidize fire protection and fire water capacity for the entire town.
Yeah.
And so the way to deal with that is to have the entire town, just as they contribute to the fire prep, like you don't get charged by the visit of the fire department. Like if you did, it'd be like tens of thousands of dollars.
You take an angel.
So it's like a social insurance policy for everybody, from the fire truck, the fire water. They turn out here and the fire truck and pumper that have water is not as effective. That goes from property taxes.
Yeah, it's.
So does that,
Ends up in part of the regular budget.
so does the fire service fee at some point go away when that tank is
Well, they're
paid off?
also paying for the portion of the system that is utilized.
Fire hydrants.
protection. So upsizing water lines.
49.
Fire hydrants,
And whatnot.
fire hydrants, maintenance of fire hydrants.
Every year you gotta go open them, and every year you'll check them out, occasionally you have to replace them.
And then what happens if there is a fire and they're pumping, filling their trucks, like how is that billed, or is that like come out of this line?
That's out of it.
That's the,
Free
It's not,
water.
it's not metered, right?
Yeah.
So anytime, they'll use it for training, they'll use it. At the pumps, we can file.
I'm just thinking like, when you, that's good. Fire. Like you could go through 25 trucks. Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Water. So I was just wondering where the like, it's not metered, it's just part of
And
it.
that's the reason why our tank is so big. If we had a tank even half that size and had a major fire, the water consumption would drop the tank to a point where we would end up on a boil water notice the next day because the tank level would drop below adequate heat pressure throughout the system.
That's why we can pump from a river if we have to. If you notice this little W sign,
Yeah, but I mean, the tank being the size it is, it'll take a substantial fire.
and I would add regarding pumping from rivers and others, you get particulates in.
no, you don't.
So the former fire chief in this room said that's about a $10,000 repair. If you suck a bunch of sand into your impeller.
So Mike Coyle, our new guy, is 25 years a fireman in Ferrisburg where he lives. And he says that they only suck from the hills and stuff. And they have substantial problems with having to flush, not only that, but they had one fire that they were sucking out of a was supposed to be a fire pond, and it ended up having diesel fuel in it. They didn't get to it.
How'd that work out?
That did not work out very well. So there are other problems. I mean, Mike is well versed in the firefighter end of it. So yeah, you're right. There are a whole other set of problems with them. But he says that they have to be very, very careful sucking. They end up with pump problems all the time.
The reason I mentioned it mainly is just if we ever did drain the tank dry, we're not totally opposed, but it's certainly not a problem.
I mean, if we're pumping, I mean, that's one reason, you know, I've asked Dennis, if there's ever a fire in town, notify me as soon as you can. So I can, if the pump isn't on, I can switch it on and well, the tank is relatively full at all times, but if we're pumping at the same time they're using, it's a better chance to keep it below the crucial part.
Okay, so finished with budgeting. So May 21st.
Oh, yeah, we gotta do that too.
The quality report.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put a note down.
All right, review of third quarter, financial 24.
All the various documents. Here,
We have.
Tony, how do you trouble hearing? Everybody? People, sometimes. Anybody else having trouble?
Yeah, I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
Aaron, can you hear us okay?
There is an audio problem and I have amplified you as much as I can. But if everyone would just try to speak clearly and be close to the microphone. But yeah, I have my volume set as high as possible to hear you. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is.
David and I can share.
Yeah, and Pardon David.
Does this one work? Can anybody hear me?
Now, I could hear Aaron great, but I can't. The rest of
Yeah.
you that are there, I couldn't.
It's just happening in the room.
Because what?
Oh. She said it's just happening in the room. I don't think she means me, Aaron. I think she means
Oh.
MMCTV, Aaron.
That's correct.
I wonder,
There we go.
plug in the right one?
But, and then.
You are in the right step. It's not going to be open underwater today. I don't know what, like, I think it's possible fine, but it's quite a bit.
So is there anything we can do?
Like,
We don't know like if that mic is actually plugged in, but.
Yeah, I mean, because you just did a bunch of changes, so I don't know. if anything
it
that's
is
not-
plugged in. It's definitely on. Hello, Connie, you can hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Angelica, we just noticed when you walked in the room that we could not hear you at all at the audience mic.
Well, I wasn't at the audience mic.
I mean, when you walked in, the overhead mic, we couldn't hear that at all.
I tested it earlier today.
Okay.
I guess not the time to test now, but, let's just take a quick look here. The volume's automatically adjusting. It's going up and down.
We want to try original sound. And expression. Come down here, the second radio button at the very bottom. Of course, there's original sound.
That,
Yeah, I would try that when you're having sound just drop out.
hello, hello? Is that better or is it the same? Just for you, Connie.
Same.
Same.
No. In church, when everything is coming through except the music, it's all.
I mean, it's going through, but I think it's just quieter. The closed caption is working. I will keep it in this smaller. I mean, I can just figure out the wall, not do more, but I'm not sure. But they're like, happy to be here for soccer.
Yeah, were there any other settings you got? I know you had trouble with the power over the weekend.
So, how was that?
Test. Any better?
Connie, how's that?
No different. I mean, I can hear Josh and Steve fine, but the rest of you I can't.
So why doesn't,
Over there.
one of you guys say something?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
That's a little better. Yep, that's better.
What if you tap on that? Okay,
Nothing.
You hear me,
Well, the
Connie?
noise suppression could be killing the tap.
Yeah.
we just turned the expression off, didn't we?
No, she put it back the way it was.
I just wonder, are those,
Tapping is probably being eaten by the noise.
but are those,
It's having stuff.
oh, it is.
Okay.
It just gets rid of it.
I was just wondering if those might have plugged in.
Oh, they're definitely plugged in.
Plugged in, okay,
Yeah, I'm speaking your mind and then speak.
okay.
All right. How many commissioners did it take to?
Okay.
But it's like way boosted higher now.
Thanks for tracking.
Well, we can hear Connie, so if she.
And I can hear you, Steve, I can hear you just.
Yeah, I'm usually people can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fire.
From being deaf.
So realistically, we're gonna jump into the financials at 41 minutes. Okay, so in the financials, we've included the FY 24 third quarter financials in the packet.
Want to pull up the highlights?
Maybe not. So in wastewater, we see that septic revenue is a bit behind the budget. Basically, when we look at these. Move things around to get things moving on this. So septic revenue, we are at 300,000 at the end of quarter three. We like to see this number closer to 75%. But then again, we are also entering into the springtime where we'll probably make up some of that in the spring where it's going to be a little bit quieter in the winter. But as we talked about previously, we have seen a little bit of a downturn in septic in general. And we've also had a bit of a challenging year in receiving septic during floods and water shutdown. There continues to be vacancy savings overall in water and wastewater due to being short staffed by one member. If you look at what wastewater operating expenses, overall, those expenses are at about 63%. You're expecting to be at 75%. So you look at some individual lines, some of them seem fairly high. But when you look at the bottom line here, we're at 63%. So despite some anomalies, when we look at a leak, it's one of the things that are 100%. Overall, we're trending okay. Wastewater capital reserve spending is up, but that's mostly due to the 4-year evaluation, which we will be reimbursed for.
Contract operator cost.
Yeah.
We now have enough certification that we don't,
Not for wastewater.
not for wastewater.
We still need somebody with a 5. Even if I pass it, I'm not eligible to get my 5.
That's kind of great. And who, do we have anybody else who's?
We have Brad, but we're gonna talk about that.
Well, no, so Brad's working on it. So Brad has enough time, sir.
That must be what I'm thinking.
He's taken the test a couple of times and come very close to passing it. So as soon as he passes it, then we'll be good. He's got, some studying. I think he can get it done.
Trust me, I really,
Yeah, we want to get rid of it. But Steve has passed his water license, which
Yeah.
means he's basically certified the same.
Yeah.
Brad in the water
And then
side, the
Mhm.
wastewater will still contract.
Mike is due to take his water license in, the end of the 26th of June, I think, or something like that. So he's on board pretty much. I decided to ease him in with the water, and now after he gets past his exam, then we're gonna work on wastewater. But Mike's come along really well.
Okay, my information was out of it. Oh, you're doing what you,
Yeah,
And on the water side, we continue to see some vacancy savings and a similar story in operating expenses. We have some individual things over. We're only at about 40%, and most of this is due to having no waterline repairs this year so far, and that also means no asphalt repairs. That's $20,000 in savings on a $15,000 budget. And a lot of that has to do with updating the water line so much over the last 5 or 6 years. Better one.
Better one, East Main.
We've done East Main, we've done Bridge Street,
Fairfield Road.
Fairfield Road.
It's the biggie that broke every year.
Yeah. So we looked at a few others. I think the Tilden, Bridge Street, Cochran Road.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big percent of what's left.
Yeah, there's still be a little bit left after that, but
Questions? Comments?
Well, it'll be interesting to look at all this after the 20-year and everything is complete. Because right now, you're doing an amazing job holding the thing together. Left in the condition it was in.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see. Approval of final allocation for 112 East Main. Somebody has applied for order allocation.
yeah, so this is the one that we spoke about at the last meeting, and there was questions about, is 112 East Main subdivided? Do we need to have 2 allocations, one for each lot? Up there. And I reached out to the homeowner technical zoning. It is not yet subdivided, so they have 2 structures on 1 lot. Their plan is to eventually subdivide it, so I've written a letter for approval of the final allocation. Allocation of each structure, so when they subdivide, they can come back and say, we're subdividing, here's the allocation we need for each structure. And then the commission can make a vote to say, okay, lot A with this structure has this much, lot B with this structure has this much. I mean, this gets them current for now.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve final allocation for 112 East Main Street for 360 gallons per day of water at $1.89 per gallon and 210 gallons per day of sewer at $4.41 per gallon for a total fee of $1,606.50.
This part, I will second that.
Discussion? No discussion, calling for a vote to approve water allocation for 112 East Main Street.
Dave, aye.
Art, I.
David, I.
Darren, I.
Morgan, aye, motion passes. Okay. So, update on Septage billing. Steve?
So it became aware to one of the septic haulers that we typically, well, we always have rounded their load size up to the nearest 500 gallons. They became quite upset with that, to the point where they felt that it was fraud. To the point where they didn't, they were like, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars if you brought this out. They called Kendall. Kendall told them that that was the practice from almost the beginning of receiving septic here, that he had always done it that way. Back last August, September, I brought you some numbers from truckloads that after we cleaned the tanks, I could check the trucks, verify how much, what the drivers were saying and so to appease everybody, I have decided that we will go on face value for the current as what the driver says his load is what we will charge. Unless you guys want me to do something different.
And just one more thing, actually, looking at this sample that Steve did back in early August, you know, the measured gallons, the reported gallons, and what we charge, so you can see simple equivalent, measured was 3420, reported was 2,000, charged 2,000. We measured 4020, reported was 4,200, charged 4,500. So when you look at the bottom here, the 30 or so, we had 117,000 measured, 118 reported, and charged for 120. So very close. If we go to what was actually reported, we're very close to what we have. What is in this second?
Well,
Here's my question. Do you feel that if people know that we're changing our policy to charging for what the is reported, do you feel that the people we're taking septic from will be honest and correct? Because I feel like you took this data without them knowing why, and it comes out very similar, but
So the one hauler that, and they basically found out because they, we had totaled up at the end of the day. They came in and they're like, well, what's the total? What total did we bring in today? And Brad told them X amount of gallons. And they're like, that's not right. We could not have possibly brought over. And they looked and at the slips with him and they figured it out. Policy had, Brad's been here 10 years and when I started, that was what he did. That's at the end of the day, you took the number. If it's 3,200 gallons, the driver wrote down, it's 35 that we billed for. That was just how it was. I didn't change anything. But after doing this last year, I felt a little like it wasn't right. But when this one particular customer brought it to the forefront and he's like, we bring this X amount in, and if you're overcharging by X amount, it's substantial. I also told everybody that I will spot check. I will, not every day, but, every couple of weeks, I will take a day and sit there because it is time consuming. And I will verify how much septic you're bringing in. So be honest. And the customer was happy with that. He's like, yeah, it's keeping me honest. It's keeping my drivers on.
And given how very dependent we are on our best customer, I think this is the pragmatic thing to do.
And
so I mean, taking this one customer, are there times that they're reporting something, they're actually, it's more than what they're reporting?
there's a small percentage. There is another customer that is routinely over.
That we're charging them, you mean routinely over, or they're reporting?
They're reporting routinely.
They think accent's really 1.1.
and the large customer that has the most of the drop-offs on the slip, their new trucks are all coming equipped with. Like, I thought that their new trucks told you how much was coming out of them. Or is it
They have one truck that can. But for the most part,
I might have interpreted that wrong. I thought like the newer trucks were going to have that on.
no. It's in that, I mean, it's expensive to have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, a couple $1,000 to it.
Per truck.
So just an observation, this seems like an appropriate path for the moment, and then over time, moving to a meter where it's not what you said, it's not what I said, it's not what I
Whatever is on-
estimated, it's what
and-
came through the meter.
And that's what I feel. I mean, I feel right now. We take the drivers on their face value. If, every couple months spot check and we're continually seeing one company doing over, we give them a 3 strikes and hey, we're not gonna take it. I mean, I hate to say that, but
Or we just start charging them more, just say that when you come in, or don't tell them.
I mean, I brought this up because I wanted you guys to know what we were dealing with.
A good customer, I think very highly of them all the way across the
Yeah.
board, and I feel like they've got a really good crew. I just don't, I've never interacted.
They
with
had
the other
one
ones.
driver, who has since now gone to another company.
Mhm.
And he routinely, when he unloaded his truck, was within 50 gallons of what I recorded. That's impressive. So it is possible for a driver to know how much they're putting on their truck.
Yeah.
Do we know what their billing structure for customers are? Like, do they bill by the visit, by the pickup, by the gallon, or?
I believe it's by I mean, I think it is X amount for 1,000-gallon tank. Standard tank is 1,000 gallons. And I believe I think a call now is, and don't quote me because I'm not sure, but I think it's in 450 range. I mean, I haven't come find them recently, or last time it was up 375, but that was way before COVID.
And it could be pretty full or not so full, so.
Well, they were charging me a flat fee.
Well, that's where I'm
Yeah.
going though.
Yeah, they charge a flat.
So their $1,000 or their $500 is their revenue, and then out of that revenue, they're paying to drop it off.
Yeah, essentially they're rounding up to a full tank fee.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
usually,
Yeah.
usually when you
Yeah.
pump a septic tank, if it's 1,000 gallons, the minimum that this customer told me is they figure it's 11 to 1,200 gallons. Because they actually hose off some of the stuff in there. They'll hose off, and that's water that they're carrying.
Yeah.
And then, so if there's a lot of solids, they try to break them up. And use their hose and stuff. So they figure that, every septic tank, if it's 1,000-gallon septic tank, they figure that it's 1,100 to 1,200 gallons.
Sounds good, Steve. I think, you.
I mean, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. If you guys say don't do it, keep charging.
No, I think it would be
I
cutting.
just-
a better place to do that.
And I just wanted everybody to be aware of the issue that was brought up.
I'm sure it'll come up into a meeting at some point.
But there's an empirical solution over the horizon.
Right.
Correct.
In our
The
direction.
20-year study. Yeah. Okay,
That if we upgrade the septic receiving to a metered system, we go away from any problems. We pay whatever the meter tells you.
that's a good investment. Yeah. Okay, consideration of approval of the vendor for a new arm system for the water system. This is also with respect to the PO. Who wants to address this?
This is the mission system that we discussed last night. It's from Champlin Associates. I feel really good about bringing them on as somebody to get involved with our system and controls and bringing in some cybersecurity to the whole system.
Right.
I have been, since I've been here, a little disappointed with the service that we've got. I mean, when I get him, Tom, Allen at LCS Controls is awesome. But to get him is, sometimes even it's a 2-week process to get a conversation on the phone. He is just so overwhelmed with, other stuff.
Okay,
So, I mean,
I like the cyber part too. I mean, it's getting worse. The latest story today is, I got a phone call about, rescinding your plastic Medicare card for 2024. why? And, well, no, you need this and, but I need to verify some stuff. And I like, I don't have that. Well, I'll call you back this afternoon. So I called Medicare. We would never ever call it.
No, they wouldn't.
Didn't they? And then went through report. They actually like my account told them about fraud so that they'll be a little bit more. Yeah, gotta call it 2:30. Hi, this is so and so again. And remember me? I went, yeah. Oh, by the way, I called Medicare. Hello? Like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's an analog fraud attempt, right?
It's amazing how people from Medicare get so rude on the phone and you call them out.
Yeah.
Well, the North Koreans and the Russians have really stepped up. I follow various governmental mailing lists, and their technology to do this stuff is impressive.
So this is good. We have to go.
It will separate the water and the sewer system essentially, and it needs to be part of it at this point. Or the ability, I mean, going forward, we can build on this system to give us more control or less control, but we will have the ability to know what's going on with our water system. Where right now, we really don't, unless I drive over there.
Yeah, next time we have a flood, right?
So should I motion? Are we ready? All right. So Aaron Farr, move to approve the purchase order number 4955 in the amount of $15,629.72 to Champlin Associates for a new water system monitoring system.
Morgan, this is David. I'll second.
Further discussion? Further discussion, calling for a vote to approve purchase order.
Jay, aye.
Aaron, aye. David, aye.
Aaron, I.
Morgan, aye. Motion passes. All right, new system. And just real quick, when do you think, what's the ETA on installation?
I will get back to you at the next meeting. I mean, they called and asked me, when can we start? So I think they're ready to.
Nice, good, thank you. Great.
Clarifier.
Repairs to the clarifier, Steve.
So Clarifier's been kind of put on the back burner. It's,
Can't imagine why.
there's been enough things going on. We installed the new drive chain, and I'm not sure if I told you this, but the bearings were gone. We since have removed the shaft, the bearings, and gotten it out. The shaft is essentially a 2 7/8 diameter shaft. One end is worn like a pencil.
Sure.
Because it's been turning
What is it made out of?
steel.
Just regular, ordinary.
Yeah,
Not stainless, just regular.
no. The other side, it has a massive groove in it.
How old do you think this is?
It was original from installation 1972.
No,
72 just to 83, it was routinely greased. After 83, I saw no records where it was greased since then. It does turn in water. It does turn at a very slow rate. I have there are two ways we can move forward with it. One is we repair what we've got, have a new shaft made. The other way is there is a company out there that makes a replacement. They upgrade the shaft size to I think it's a 4-inch in diameter, but it is 4-inch diameter stainless steel tube. So they go bigger, so they get the structural stability, and then we would have to upgrade the bearings and stuff. So there's a company that I got the chain from out in the Midwest, and that's what they do. So I sent him the schematics, and he was gonna work me up a couple of different estimates going forward. So we're kind of at a standstill right now. but it is completely apart. It is, you know, as soon as we can decide which way is going to be the best way moving forward, we'll get it back together.
And how does that affect the whole system not having that in place?
No, because we have two.
Okay.
If the other one breaks down, which I assume is
Imminent.
And
So, I mean,
That's not
it's
a
not
core.
something that I wanna wait on, but right now, somebody out west is working on some numbers for us, so we can come back and decide.
Can we grease the other one?
Uh, well, the problem with that is the only way to grease it is you have to drain.
And there's no automatic greasing systems these days.
No, but Mike and I, in our infinite farm wisdom was like, well, geez, why don't they just put remotes up out of the water on the side of the clear? And so going forward, that's what we're gonna do if we go with the same type as in. My thought is that it's lasted this long and not had grease in it, if we do nothing more than replace the shaft, put new bearings on the wall, and put remote grease seals to them. That, you know, every 3 months you can put a couple of pumps of grease in. And
Okay, that makes sense.
but that's, you know, I also want to see, you know, like now they make it out of stainless and, you know, maybe the cost of replacing it with this is pretty close to the same cost with replacing it with stainless. And, instead of fabricated bearings, they're neoprene.
I'm amazed that terrible machinery and part that the rubber, the green oil seal, wears a groove on the steel shaft.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this shaft is out, it's over there, I mean, it weighs 360 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, waterboard meeting too. Yep, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
It wasn't the microbes in the septic.
They're on strike.
No. So, yeah, I mean, it is in our heads, you know, we're not just leaving it, but it's not been at the forefront of problems with the plant.
So hopefully you've got a proposal back by the next meeting.
Yeah, I would hope. I'm gonna call the guy again this week and see what he found. We actually found the blueprints for the original installation. They were they were real blueprints.
What happened in 1983 to cease the greasing?
I don't know. Can't answer that.
I'll say, I think Uncle Bill worked there.
I have the file, the original file from when it was installed. And it states everything, every 3 months it's supposed to be greased. And every 3 months it was greased up until 1979. Then it went to like twice a year maybe. And then in 1983, all records ceased.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Superintendent's report.
Looks like some show and tell today.
So, we talked about our influent pump problems like, several times. This is the newest thing that came down through the line and was in our influent pump.
Like that was, okay. What is that?
It is a piece of steel grating
Great, that was holding something up or,
or a stair.
yeah, like where you,
Oh,
yeah.
It could not have come from the plant because everything at the plant is aluminum. So it actually had to come down. It was stuck in the impeller of the pump.
Probably the grate, somebody, something.
Can we pass it around to the council?
How'd that do?
No, thank you.
How'd that work out for the impeller?
It was okay. I mean, it was actually wedged in the impeller and had a massive bunch of rags
Oh,
plugging.
boy.
So you have to, pull it out, and then we're like, Mike was pulling on it with a thing, trying to pull it through the impeller. And I'm like, no, Mike, I think that's bigger, that's steel. And we had to pull it back down out of the bottom.
That's why we want screens on the inflow pumps.
That is one reason. I mean, I've showed you 2x4s that I've taken out in the past. I mean, this is pretty aggressive.
You were talking about an inspection that we can do of each account as we install water meters.
Oh, yeah. So as we go forward with our water meter installation, doing them ourselves is the time that we are creating a checklist right now. So when we go into a basement to replace a meter, we are also doing a visual inspection for sub pump connections, stormwater connections, whatever we see that is in violation in the basement. Backflow preventers that are supposed to be installed if they have a washer and dryer in their basement. So going forward, we can, account so-and-so, we installed a new meter on this date. They had 2 sub pumps hooked up and, no backflow preventer.
My wheels are still turning on this thing. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like the old school grate that you put over stormwater in this. And that it rusted out at some point and slowly found its way down the.
It could be that, my first sneaking suspicion was they have some grading like this at Harrington's. Stairs. Yeah. That are steel. Yeah. Of this type of grading. I'm not saying that's where it came because I can't ever prove it, but it's just.
That's a pretty good sized pipe.
Yeah, well, and it just spends its day rolling along till it gets down there. But when it gets into the influent pump, and if we spend X amount of dollars on a new one, this is the problem.
No, we don't have any storm drains that we know of that are still hooked up to the.
No.
But it's also.
It was
possible
that infiltration
that the manhole went up.
Yeah.
Get it that way.
Yeah.
We know during the flood, every time it rains hard, the flow through the plant increases. It's coming from somewhere. Coming from somewhere.
It might have taken a while to find its way from its
I'm-
origin to its destination.
Put a flyer at the next building, missing this.
Lost and found.
I mean, it probably, I would anticipate it's, been making its way to the plant for several years. Been lost for a long time.
Do you have anything else to report to us, Superintendent?
Besides the influent pump, we've discussed the plant being very sick right now. We are, really spending a lot of time making sure every load that comes in right now is not putting us behind again. And, I was when I talked to Josh this morning, that we had turned the corner and the plant was doing much better. And then almost from the time when I left your office, I went back to find the DO had dropped again this afternoon and still, when I came over here, it was at a 0.8.
It's not glowing, is it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, and the light that we see in the plant is there and active. It's just, there is a tremendous amount of oxygen being consumed that we can't get enough into the plant. And my first, and everybody's thing is, well, you've got the air filter plugged in. We've done all that. We've gone through all the blowers. We've double checked all the air filters. One of the problems with our plant, and nobody can fess up to it, but the air that our blowers intake comes from our 2 closed septic receiving tanks. If that doesn't baffle your mind.
Why would it be constructed that way?
So it was constructed, it has been constructed 2 ways. Originally, it was constructed to consume air from outside of the plant. A short little run. And there were, I was told, complaints about the noise in the park. Instead of putting a muffler on, which is totally doable, the option was they ran an air intake through the plant in the garage, put a filter base in there, and then drop the intake into the septic receiving tank, the tanks underground. So essentially, if we took in something that had a corrosive gas in it, the engineer is like, never did this. You know, when she designed it originally 20 years ago. She's like, you can't suck air out of a corrosive environment and put it through your blowers. So what the first thing I did was in the garage for the air intake, there is a filter there. I basically opened that up. It's loud as heck, but I let it suck air out of the garage area versus sucking out of the tank. And that was the hope that it would suck more oxygen into the system. You know, a cleaner gas versus whatever's in those tanks. But so that is getting corrected in the upgrade.
Isn't it clear the best source of the highest concentration of oxygen would be exterior air, not near an exhaust or a tank?
I mean, I was this close to opening the valve and sucking out of that the original one is still there for the outside, on the outside of the building. But I felt I was getting the same result by sucking out of the garage. And then it's a little quieter with the door shut.
Let's move along. Do you have any more?
No, I mean, those are the things.
Okay. Next up is, water tank inspection.
So,
Start?
yeah, I mean, Tyler looked at the information. He feels that there were some minor cracks that he could see. He also felt that there were some. When the tank was constructed, your forms, they have tie rods through them. Normally, when they shear the tie rod off at the end to pull the form off, if you're using it for a tank or something, you would make sure to knock the thing off and then seal it.
Yeah. Because it's metal, right?
Because it's metal and it connects all the way through.
Yeah.
He feels that there are some of those that were not knocked off, and the rust, the water will follow metal and rust, and that maybe some of those. He feels that we can, there are companies out there that can, plug the tank from the inside.
Would that be a manufacturing defect or a design defect?
He didn't really say. I mean, it could be a little of both.
Fremont Engineering is the book, right?
Right. I mean,
The contractors.
and it would be whoever was supposed to verify that stuff was done that way. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't here. I don't know.
I was.
Huh?
I was.
So
It's your fault.
we could get lost, I think, in the potential liability, so maybe let's table that for further information.
Well, I believe you've already reached out
Yeah, so I reached out to VLCT, asked what to know about the situation, and also to our attorney, since it's been up 2 hours in the file on that. And then as far as the immediate repair, I think Tyler referred you to someone who did.
Yeah, I
already. Sorry. You had somebody that can make, we have 3 companies that are looking into for a repair.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll next.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
And I did ask Tyler, say like, well, should I take the white effervescence off it and paint it again? And he was like, it's just gonna come back. Leave it until we do something from the inside.
Okay. Update on status of Tilden Avenue, Bridge Street, Cochran, Waterline.
So we got a list, it seems like it's actively being reviewed by the state, which is better than what we were a couple months ago. They asked us for a number of pieces of documents that Tyler and I pulled together, got them all the information. And I think right now they have everything they need and they're reviewing and again, our goal is to get that review done here this spring and summer, get out the bid in the fall or the winter. I think they can talk to my expert.
And one of the things, just, I keep saying this, it is the add-ons of line replacement. Because I think you now have the list of the private connection lines that need to be replaced. So that's probably a heads up to all those property owners
You mean
to
they have
have.
like lead in the lines or?
No, it's more
Well,
galvanized.
a galvanized service would really be replaced.
From the town's line to the house.
Right. And once you have all the equipment there,
Right.
like, that was the idea of doing add-on. It's like time and materials or however they do it to also dig up the rest of the line into the house. My house is probably one of those so situated.
Okay,
There's a couple on Tilden.
well, we need to stay on top of that.
Yep.
Advise people. Okay, good. And then update on staffing.
So want to congratulate Steve on getting his class 3 water operator license, making him fully certified. Operating the water system.
Yeah,
And we're actively seeking to hire a 4th position, which is in the budget. We're expecting more push out on that. And continue to work with it soon. Nice.
Good. There's plenty of work to do.
you want me to mention Brad? I asked him, that was him.
You asked him and he's okay with it?
Yeah.
If he's okay, then sure.
2 weeks ago, Brad had, came into work, with what he thought was well, after a doctor diagnosed, herniated disc. Progressed over the weekend and Monday he came, a week ago Monday he came in, and at noon he was in excruciating pain and said, I can't do it. And so he went to the doctors. He ended up in the hospital for most of the week. It was a blood clot in his kidneys that moved to his leg. His leg literally was about 3 times the size of the other one.
And this was connected to a disc back or
No,
that was not.
the misdiagnosis of a
Misdiagnosis.
disc, it was a blood clot in his kidney that was giving him the pain in his back. So Brad is out for the proceeding. Sure.
Well, what's his heart? That sounds terrible.
Yeah, we are in the process of trying to get him set up. He has got doctor permission and he can't drive. He's staying at his mom's. And he can't even sit in a chair really. I mean, he has to be in bed, but we've come up with we're trying to get because Brad does all the state reporting and stuff for us. He needs to get internet accessibility to his computer here, so. Simple Roots is in the process of trying to get us a laptop so we can download everything from his hard drive that we use at the plant desktop and put it essentially on a laptop.
And VPN.
And he could be able to work from home.
Books the VPN and then just having the thing on his laptop. It would then sync with everything.
Yeah.
That's how my laptop works. If I don't VPN, I can do this. Just, back to people out.
Problem that I have found out is they are not gonna have in time for him to do the water.
And what's gonna be?
That's this afternoon's conversation. The laptop won't be in Simple Root's possession until the 8th. And they will not schedule a time to come out and get it all set up. He was thinking it was gonna be the 10th or the.
You know what? Can you call the state, call the situation, maybe they give us a couple days anyway?
I had called Brad and asked him if he would be comfortable essentially with me putting the numbers in. Or if I can go in and switch everything to me
Well, for the time being,
and
but you're
that
water
can-
free.
yeah,
We need to wrap up though.
yeah,
But
so
we'll figure out, I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm sure that's a solution. We can
So-
figure that out.
essentially, yeah, Brad is out for the foreseeable future. We'll be doing some computer work from home. And starting on the 10th, Mike is on vacation for 10 days.
Okay, so we're gonna be looking at cloning you.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Something gets hard or anything, just let me know.
Right.
Farm,
Most
or
of
there can
the
be water.
parts come to me.
Have a room operator's license. Right, so then staffing, so next meeting, we have tank inspection,
Water numbers.
whatever they're called for the forms. See, why are the windows down on the focus? Water numbers?
Water, if we'll review it.
This is ready for the junkyard.
Okay,
I just haven't gotten it there.
what else?
If you look in the focus,
Maybe
you
next
can
week.
see it's full.
We'll probably have to.
We filled it with all the scrap steel. Make
Do
one
we
trip.
do any kind of prep for the 21st?
Probably, yeah.
Probably,
I
yeah.
mean, by that point, it'll be warned and ready to go. So
Yeah, yeah.
we can clear that stag.
It's just kind of a heads up.
I'll work with
Any
you.
updates on staffing? Is there anything that might
We
move?
haven't had too many applicants, but we can do enough of it.
I mean, I haven't, I looked at one the other day that you had sent me.
We want to start talking about the amount of money that, take the state after the 20 years.
Yeah, let me check in with Royal Tenor on next steps and see, because I know we need to get.
We're gonna want a lot of lead time on that.
Yep.
We have 60 seconds. I move we adjourn.
All right,
Second.
There,
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.